Welcome back. Good morning, Kenya continues. My name is Vivian Degwa. Now, the Kenyan Bankers Association, together with other players in the financial sector, are pushing a campaign on financial literacy. This particular campaign is in a bid to enhance the savings culture, or rather a savings culture in the country. In order to understand the savings situation at the moment in Kenya, I am joined by Joe Kirago, who is the Operations Director, Sibrin Kenya, as well as Lillian Kioko, the Regional Manager, Cooperative Bank. Mr. Joe and Madam Lillian, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if we can just go directly into this particular campaign, what is the anchor of the campaign?
All right, thank you. The anchor of the campaign, first of all, this campaign was launched on 8th of June this year by the Kenya Bankers Association. Of course, the Kenya Bankers Association was formed in 1962, and it's an umbrella body of the banking sector in Kenya, representing a total of about 60 million USD in the country. It leads the advocacy of growth in the banking sector, and this campaign is in the backdrop of another campaign that was held previously called Kachonjo, or Be Alert. So in this particular campaign, dubbed Banking Industry Financial Literacy Campaign for 2023, there are various aspects that the KBA and the industry, other players in the financial sector, plus other partners of KBA, like where I come from, Sibrin. We are running this campaign to ensure that there is enough advocacy out there, enough information out there to the public towards the campaign of promoting a saving culture. I think the backdrop of this is that the saving culture in Kenya is not very good, especially when you compare to the region. I will provide statistics thereafter to show that in the region, Kenya is lagging behind, and those are some of the reasons why this campaign started.
Okay. Madam Lillian, why is savings important?
Thank you for that question. It is very important to save, one, for an emergency. Two, there comes a time when you are stuck and you don't know where to run to. Maybe you had made an investment to buy a house, but you need that near money. It is also a cushion for comfort. When you have some money tucked in somewhere, you have the confidence of walking around, and if anything happens, you'll be fine. You can also lose your job and you did not have savings. For those people who are employed, it's always important to put a 6-month rent savings, because anything can happen. You could lose your job. Health also can strike. You could suffer very huge medical bills, and you have nowhere to run to. And again, savings can also be used for investments. People would want just to sell land, and you could get an opportunity of buying that land cash instead of going for a loan. There are quick wins also of buying houses. You can run and put maybe an installment as you wait to pay the bigger chunk of the money. So it's always important to have that savings. For the people who are also planning to go for retirement, I guess we'll all want to live a life that we lived when we were working. So you don't retire to poverty, but you age gracefully. You can also save for your children's school fees. It will be very discouraging for kids when they're chased home because of lack of school fees, because you never manage to save. And again, the way the economy is, it's always good to cushion yourself. You never know what is going to happen anytime. Thank you.
Right. How long is the campaign running? Is it a monthly thing? Is it a yearly campaign? How long is it running?
All right, thank you. So this campaign is running for a year. So the way it's been dubbed 2023 campaign. There will be various topics within monthly that will be coming up on the various aspects of saving or financial literacy. So saving is just one of the big aspects, but there'll be various topics that will be coming through in this particular area. For example, when I just talk about saving, there are several anchors that Kenya Bankers Association is pushing on the campaign this time. One of them is developing a plan, because when you're talking about savings, you have to develop a plan. Being a smart borrower. The other one is live within your means. spend wisely, monitor your spending, make every shilling count, and learn about money. Those are some of the pillars that the campaign is running on right now. It's running on a hashtag that's called Jijenge na Savings. That's the hashtag that is running on Jijenge na Saving, or Grow with Savings. Yeah.
You've mentioned that one of the pillars is having a plan, saving with a plan. And I have a question for you, Madam Lillian.
Yes.
One may be asking, when I'm saving my money, do I just need to keep my money aside, or do I need to have a goal? Say, should I be saving towards a car? Should I be saving towards my education or my children's education? Do I need to have a goal while saving, or should I just keep my money aside and just leave it there?
It's only wise to set goals for savings. And in any activity that you undertake to do, there must be a goal. So you could be saving towards buying a house. You could be saving towards your children's education. You could also save for your retirement. You could also save for a trip, because you don't just wake up and go out. So you can do your calculations. Let's say your child is starting class 1. How much fees will be needed in the next 1 year? So you can break that down on a monthly basis. That is, if you get a salary. If you're in business, you can break it down even to a weekly, depending also on the earnings that you make. You can even do it on a daily basis. Let's say you are planning to do 30,000 by the end of the month, or 1 million by the end of the year. So break that down in maybe 12 months, in 6 months. So it's always important to ask yourself, what am I saving for, and what is the amount that I'll be required by maybe end of 5 years. If you're saving maybe for your pension, you're looking at your 30 years now. You don't retire at 50. Not everybody is going to retire at 60. You don't retire at 40. So you can even start saving for your pension at 20 years, and you're asking yourself, what kind of life will I want to live at 40? So you can do your mathematics backwards and tell yourself, every month I'll be able to save 50,000 into my pension account. The other way is also saving. You can invest and build a house, and know by the time you're retiring, that rental income is going to be your savings, and that's what you're going to live on. Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned that one should start saving early,
Yes.
Maybe from the age of 20 years, even earlier than that.
Yes.
But maybe there's someone who's watching us right now and they're wondering, what am I saving? I mean, I live hand to mouth. So where's this money coming from? How am I saving money that I don't have?
That's true, but I think it's all in the mind. Why am I saying it's all in the mind? We say we live from hand to mouth, but there's a space between the hand and the mouth. You're even earning 100 shillings. Let's talk about even the people in the construction sites. You're earning 200 shillings. Let me even take the worst case scenario and earning 100 shillings. You can decide in your head, I'll start saving even 10 shillings. 10 shillings a day, and you work 6 days. Sunday is a Sabbath day. That is already 60. By the end of the month, you will have 240 shillings, which on normal circumstances, you would have thought it's a very hard thing to do. But you start small. We all save differently because our incomes are different, and even our goals are different. So it's all in the mind. And I think why we do not save is this issue of procrastination. I am earning 100 shillings today, so I start telling myself, when I start earning 150, I will start saving. But by the time you're earning 150, the demands are even more than when you are earning 100 shillings. So you start small and you grow from there. And as I talk about that, it's also good when we teach our children and we inculcate in them the savings culture. There are accounts for children that they can start saving. You can take a piggy bank. A piggy bank is just a small container. They start putting in money there. So even as they go to school, and mostly when they're in high school, you tell them, I've given you 200 shillings. If you save 100 shillings, I'll double that. So you see, from Form 1, you've already inculcated the culture of saving. So by the time this child is going even to university, they already know the meaning of savings. So even as parents, we are supposed to encourage our children and inculcate in them a saving culture. And it's always important to know there is a tomorrow. Because I think we want to live like today is the end of everything. Mm-hmm. There is a tomorrow. In case that construction stops, kids will have to eat, life will still continue, and you already spent the whole 100 shillings that you gained. So I believe we can all save. We only need to start small. And of course, it will be different for each person depending on your goals and depending with your income.
Yeah, we need to think about tomorrow.
Yes.
As the youth, we live with we have a slogan, YOLO, you only live once.
Once, you only live once.
Could this be the reason why the savings culture is not where it's supposed to be? You mentioned earlier that Kenyans are not saving enough. Yeah. What are the statistics, maybe?
All right, yeah. I think it's true that, especially for the youth, you only live once. Mm-hmm. And when you look at even the numbers out there, you realize that the youth are the ones who are affected so much. Mm-hmm. The youth are not saving. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why our savings rate has gone down. Mm-hmm. When you look at the statistics, the national saving rate is a very good indicator of showing the economic health of a country. It indicates that the country is able to, has the ability to finance its own growth and develop its own needs. Mm-hmm. So an IMF report for 2019 mm-hmm. Shows that the sub-Saharan rate is about 17.8%. Tanzania, 19.2%. Uganda at 17.4%, and Kenya at 14.3%. That is 2019. You can already see that Kenya is below mm-hmm. the other countries in the region. A World Bank report of 2021 shows that Tanzania was at 26.9%. Uganda at 18%, and Kenya at 12.4%. So you can see the gross domestic rate for Kenya is lower compared to the other region. I think right now, Uganda and Tanzania are already past the 20 mark, and we are not yet on the 20 mark. Mm-hmm. So it's a worrying trend, and this is one of the backdrops that probably led to this particular campaign happening. I know the outgoing governor, the governor who's the former governor, Dr. Patrick Njoroge, was very passionate about financial literacy. So when KBA talked to CBK, about coming up with this campaign, he was one of those people who really advocated for this. I think I had those sentiments from the KBA CEO, Dr. Habil Olaka, when the campaign was launched. So I think this is some of the backdrop of this campaign, that in Kenya we have a worrying trend. Mm-hmm. When you look at the 70s and the 80s, our mark was way above 20%, above 20. But right now we are below 20, and the other countries in the region are rising. So we need to worry. I think at this rate, Tanzania is really catching up on us. Mm-hmm. We've been saying we are, the economic hub of the region. Mm-hmm. But if we don't watch this space of saving, we'll be overtaken by our counterparts in the region.
What is the proper way of saving? There's this rule, 50, 30, 20 rule. Is that the way to go, or what other plan can you tell us about on how we should save our money?
There's so many ways we can do our savings, and the 50, 30, 20 rule counts. That is where you allocate. The 50 should be your rent. You must pay your rent, your final obligations. Mm-hmm. Then the 30% that comes to the entertainment and the things that you have to do. But basically, we're not talking about the 50, 30, 20 rule. You can save in an account that is going to earn you interest. Mm-hmm. You can buy bonds. You can buy shares, and when you buy shares, you have the opportunity of enjoying dividends at the end of the year once the banks declare their dividends. From the savings account, you'll enjoy the interest. And maybe somebody watching us is wondering, Mama Boga, how do I save? Mm-hmm. You can save through the chamas. Mm-hmm. That you do your daily table bankings, and that is also a saving, so that by the end of the month you know how much you're going to get, and maybe that can go towards boosting. So for the women, they are chamas. Maybe somebody is saying, I cannot go and open an account alone. But when they get into those groups, the more they are, the merrier, and they'll be able to save towards their own individual goals. And they can also be able to borrow through the same. As I said, you can also do some savings if you are able and do maybe rental incomes, that is real estate, and start earning from it. You can also save and borrow against that money. You can decide, I want to borrow maybe 50,000 and start saving maybe 100,000 so that you don't need to go for anybody to give you a title deed or something. So you save and then you borrow against your own savings. So basically there are so many ways of savings, but those are the near ones and that everybody can save. I'm sure men are asking, so what can we do? With all due respect, yes, there are groups of men nowadays who are saving, and so they are saving high time. So any group of people can come together. I would also encourage the youth, because statistics, we've just been told about statistics. You can also start forming your own groups, open joint accounts, and just challenge yourselves. Maybe you'll be putting in 500 shillings each of you, maybe even 100 shillings. Before you know it all, you'll have saved so much money in an account, and at least you'll be boasting of having some shares. You can also save through the cooperative societies, which are all over in Kenya where we are in today, and they also pay dividends, because nobody wants to save and there's no return in the same. We can also save money, put it in fixed deposit accounts that run for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months, and that also will come along with your goals. Is your goal for 1 month? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months, 9 months, or 1 year? And of course, there is a return on the same. Yeah.
We talked about the 50-30 rule, but I feel like we've not let them into what it entails. We've talked about the 50%, which goes to your rent. And if you can just
so the 50% goes towards your utilities, that is the rental income and the mortgage. And then the 30% goes towards your shopping. And then the 20% goes towards your savings and paying off our debts. And that is why I think we talked about your budgeting. So if you are earning 50,000, so you can say you prioritize. I think the 50-30-20 rule is just prioritizing what is important for you. Because if you do not pay your rent, the house will be closed. If you don't pay out a mortgage, then of course the bank will be on your neck. Then of course people have to eat. People have to go to the offices. They're their daily needs. And then you have to remember to save. So the 20% comes into the savings. And we are told out of every 5 shillings you make, you save a shilling.
Okay.
Which is very critical. So saving is just prioritizing, put it in your budget, on your things to do list, the must do, and all those things. And maybe even why we are not saving, we have this upside down. We start with eating out and those things that, those things we can do without, other than telling ourselves, I can eat out once in a month, and I save that money, because eating out is also expensive. Maybe even for the people employed, maybe if you carry your packed lunch, you'll save yourself 1,000 shillings, maybe 500 shillings, and that now goes to the 20% of your savings. So you have to be committed on it, and you just have to focus and prioritize on the same.
And maybe it's important to note the issue of prioritizing. The minute you get your money, put your savings aside first. Don't start using it save baadaye, because you'll realize, okay, maybe I'm running out, I won't be able to save this month. So the minute you get your money, just put the savings aside first before you get into, budgeting for everything else. Mr. Joe, according to statistics, where exactly are Kenyans saving their money?
All right. Just before I share the statistics, I think based on where I've stopped, there's a saying, there's a very common proverb which says that he who buys what he does not need is stealing from himself. It's a very interesting proverb, but if you're buying what you don't need, you're actually stealing from yourself, because you're stealing from your savings. Now, looking at the statistics and what Lynn was talking about, the various savings that are available, there was a research that was recently done by Strathmore University, together with the Institute of Human Resource Management. It was released recently in June 2022. So in this research, shows that 24% of those who were interviewed, or those who went through the survey, 24% saved through SACCO, 20% through pension schemes, and then 15% through chamas and table banking. So what she was talking about, chamas and table banking are actually very active when it comes to especially the informal kind of savings. So 15% of that goes to chamas and table banking. Then 10% on banking services, the fixed deposits and the like. You can see chamas are way above the banking sector. Then the money market funds, where the insurance companies come in, and also banks also provide that, 10%. Pension through personal initiatives. There are other people who do pension, but not through their employment, where the employer is contributing and they're also contributing, but they will have their own initiatives at 5%. Shares at 5%. It's a worrying trend that the number of shares, people investing on shares, is really going down. That's a trend that is also worrying. Mobile money, 5%. Treasury bills and bond, 3%. So not so many people are investing on treasury bills and bonds, although the value that is going there is high, but the people investing there are not very many, and 3% others.
Yeah. Don't you think the reason why we are not investing mainly on shares, the bills, the bonds, it's because maybe we don't know about it, like we don't have any literacy concerning it?
Exactly. Literacy is very important. That's why this campaign is running, so that if people are aware, the available options that are there. People are available. There's a lot of information available to people that these are the advantages of going through this option or these options, and these are the various options that are available. And they are given more information on all these options, then I think we'll have more saving culture. Very interesting also when you look at the numbers in terms of financial literacy. Again, Tanzania is leading on that end. Okay. So a research again that was done by the Global Fund Literacy Survey. The saving culture is worrying. The financial literacy level is worrying. In Kenya, it sits at 38%. With a population of 50 million, only 38% have that financial literacy information. When you look at it, Tanzania is at 40%. South Africa at 42%, and Uganda at 34%. So at least we're better than Uganda, but Tanzania, you can see, sitting at 40% and we are 38%. So again, it's a worrying trend that we need to worry about. Yeah.
For someone who's seated at home and they would really love to get to know more about the bonds, the bills, the shares, but they have no idea whatsoever. They're wondering, where do I get this information? Okay. Where do they start?
I think the first place is, I think you could talk to the financial investors that are out there. There are various financial investors that are out there. Talk to your banks as well. The banks will also give you that information, because most people at least now have a bank account. I think the financial inclusion in this country has deepened quite a lot. Not yet there yet, but the banks are there to talk to them. There are various financials, advisors that are out there, investment companies are out there. So the information is out there. I think also the public should also look out at various articles that are released by Central Bank, by Kenya Bank Association, and they're available on the public portals that provide all this information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take a short break right now. When we come back, we'll be talking more on this issue. We'll find out the difference between investments and savings. You do not want to miss that. We'll be back in a moment.
It was not supposed to go this far.
Ulikuwa utakifikia wapi? Uhuni hauna mipaka.
Hii tamaa yako safari hii itakutia wazimu.
Keti sisi tushamzoea. Lakini wewe mamangu, mimi hata sikujui tena.
Hii nyumba itabadilika. Hamtanipeleka na gia yenu ya kipuzi kama mlivyomfanya binti yangu.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. Before we went for that break, Mr. Joe was telling us about how to go about finding out the best way you can save your money. And he mentioned something to do with speaking to your bank. Lillian, I feel like for most Kenyans, we think that for you to go speak to your bank, you need to be a wealthy person. I mean, what is a common person just going to the bank to talk about when your savings are less than maybe 20,000 Kenyan shillings? Kindly tell us about that. Can anyone just come into the bank as long as they're banking there and ask for advice?
Yeah. I tend to imagine where you're coming from, because everybody thinks to walk into a bank, you must be a millionaire, you must be in a suit, must be driving a car, but all that is a hoax. Anybody can walk into the bank, anyone. As long as you're above 18 years, you have your ID. Doesn't matter what business you're doing, as long as you're doing legal business. Financial advice is free. That's why bankers are employed to offer financial advice to anyone who needs it. So this morning, I would want to encourage us, all of us, to walk into a bank, any nearest bank that is with you. You will get any advice that you are looking for. Ask any question, because again, if you do not ask, you'll never know. And even the Bible says we do not know because we do not ask. We do not have because we don't ask. So we need to ask this question. You are a better person asking than keeping quiet. And when you ask, you start living your dream. Certainly everybody has a dream, but again, not all of us have inherited property, but we are working and we can be taught about how to save, how to do the investments, how to start small and how to grow big, how to start from a mabati house to an apartment, and all that is offered free of charge. And then from walking to a bank, you realize there's so much more that you do not know, that if you knew, then you'll set better goals. And you'll also have some better management of your finances, other than just working and working, no goals, not knowing what to do. And sometimes even getting stuck, you'd want to improve on your business, you'd want to improve yourself, but you are stuck, and that's why the banks are there. So anybody, I encourage all of us to walk into any bank. The advice is free, and that's why people are employed to give that financial advice free of charge. Yeah.
Would you say, Joe, it's better to, when saving, you would rather have like set goals in terms of the shorter ones, the short-term goals, the long-term goals, or you can just go winging it from the get-go, you start with the long-term goals?
Definitely you must have a plan. A plan is important. And the plan is either short-term or long-term. But you must have the plan first. And the principles of wealth creation are the same, whether it's small amount or large amount. It all begins with small units of currency. So I think when you have short-term first, then you're able to achieve the short term, then the long term is easier. It doesn't work very well when you go for the long term and you haven't tested your short term. So it's good to have a plan, but you can start with small. It works, then you grow it big. Even you look at the people who have created wealth very much in these countries, they started small. And from that small beginning, you go into bigger steps. You don't look at the whole staircase. You look at one step. Then you go down the stairs.
So are we saying that when it comes to money, dreaming big is different to when we're talking about other things? Because we are told, dream big, aim for the stars and all that. So you just can't start with dreaming big when it comes to money. You start by planning slowly by slowly, because I feel like if you set this big goal, money goal to yourself, and then you don't attain it, then you might get depressed and all that. So is that what we're saying?
Of course, you have to set your goals up. You aim high, then of course you'll be somewhere. I think they say you aim for the moon.
For the moon,
then you can land on the stars. So it's okay to dream big, because that's your ultimate goal. Okay. That's your long-term goal, to reach that particular long-term goal that you have, that big agenda that you have. But you make it with small steps, not one big step, or smaller steps.
So you have the big goal, but you have smaller ways of getting to it. Or short,
or what you call milestones to reach there. In my world of software engineering, we call it agile, where we're doing agile.
All right.
You have sprints. So you have sprints in agile.
Let's talk about investments. One would say you'd rather invest than save, but what is the difference between investing and saving, and are you able to invest if you are not someone who saves?
Okay. Investment and savings. There's a thin line. But for you to invest, you must have saved. Because how do you invest without saving? And I think there's one very important thing that we've not mentioned: financial discipline. And for you to save, you must have some financial discipline. And that's why the 50-30-20 rule comes in. Have you been saving your 20%? Because if I get my salary on 30th and I blow all of it and I say tomorrow it'll take care of itself, then I don't know where the investment where the investment will come to. So the ways we can do our investments, it can be real estate. But how many of us have money just to go and put up a skyscraper from nowhere? You must have been saving. And then that's why Joe was saying you need to start small. What is this goal that you want to attain? So I start savings so that maybe I will borrow against my savings. Or for this real estate, I'll have saved to put up a building. I'll have saved maybe 10 million, depending on how much the apartment will take, so that when I'm going to the bank to borrow, to invest, I'm telling them I've already put in my 10 million, so I need you guys to put in some 10 million so that this apartment is completed. Then you can also just decide to save in money market, and in money market you can just open an account that you keep on accumulating your savings, and you earn your interest. You earn your interest as you save. Interest is earned on the savings that you've already put in the account. So that one practically you just want to be earning interest. You plow your interest out, then you continue saving on the principal. Interest is whatever you've earned on the principal amount that you've done. I'd also talked about shares. Shares, for me, it could be a long term if you really want to enjoy your shares. So you can decide every month, maybe you'll be buying cooperative bank shares. You can do 10,000. Say next month you'll do 10,000, so that by the time the bank is declaring the dividends, you're enjoying your dividends. And then the dividends you're earning, you can decide, do you want to plow it back or you want to enjoy yourself? Because again, let's also not forget to reward ourselves. So this interest or the dividends we are earning is what can be used to reward yourself. Anybody who wants to, it's a payback time for yourself. Then I've talked about money market, and then there's also the savings accounts where you can save with any banking institution, and you earn an interest. You can decide never to remove the money, and the money just stays there. So the line is very thin, but basically it all starts with savings so that you get to the next step.
They say that when you save your money, it's just seated in the bank. Sorry for saying this, because you're a banker. There's this conversation where they say when you save your money, you cannot really create wealth through just saving and having your money in the bank. You need to find ways of diversifying and placing this money somewhere for you to be able to create wealth. How true is that statement?
Creation of wealth comes in one, being very disciplined, and you have to do regular savings. Mm-hmm. And it will also touch on the goals that one wants. So you earn the money and save and invest smartly. Mm-hmm. So if you really want to do a wealth creation, you have to sacrifice for it. Mm-hmm. You have to be committed on doing it, mm-hmm. and it will still touch on the goals. You are creating this wealth. You want to create it for what term? Is it a short-term goal? Is it a medium-term goal? Is it a long-term goal? For the pension can be a long-term one as long as you're employed and as long as you're in business. Doesn't mean when you're in business you cannot do your own pension. You can do it. So wealth creation comes in with a lot of sacrifice, a lot of discipline, and of course setting your goals and just ensuring you live by your word. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when they say money sits in the bank, no money sits in the bank because you earn interest depending on the kind of an account that you have opened. And are you also a smart saver? Because smart savers will come in and ask, if I save for 6 months, what interest am I also going to get? And again, as you walk to the bank, also ask, I want to earn interest. What account is good for me to earn whatever interest you'll be looking for? So that's why I said, walk into the bank. There's so much that people don't know. You see now, people have that conception of my money is lying in the bank. Mm-hmm. But it's good for you to go and ask in the bank, why is my money lying here? I need to be paid some interest. Okay. And there are interest earning accounts. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So still I encourage all of us to walk into a bank and ask these questions. After all, the money is yours. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't just lie there. That money you can use it to borrow against it. So it will not be lying there. It's still your money, but the bank will use it as collateral to give you some money to go and do your business. Okay. Yeah.
Joe, they say that wealth creation is a skill. How true is that? And how do we gain this skill for us to be wealthy?
I think it's a skill, yes, because you have to follow certain principles. You must have that discipline that she's talked about. Mm-hmm. So you must have that discipline within yourself that you must be able to save. Mm-hmm. You must follow those rules of saving. But most important is that the financial literacy begins at home. The same way, the saving culture begins at home. Mm-hmm. So you learn that skill from when you are young. And you'll find that most people who have been able to save, they learned it from way too early. And that's why we are saying the youth in this country, we need to inculcate this culture of saving to them a lot because they are not saving. Mm-hmm. Probably the dynamics have changed a bit, mm-hmm. but we need to go back and instill this discipline of saving at whatever levels, whether it's where they are working, whether it's a religious organization, whatever institutions where they are within their own forums, because we also have to talk to them within their own forums. So it's an art, yes, but you have to begin early, learn the discipline, learn the rules. What we're talking about, the 50-30-20, you have to know how to budget that. So you have to know how to budget your money to be able to do that. You have to know how to save smartly. But coming back to the issue, you're talking about the money sitting in the bank. Mm-hmm. The banks now have so many products that they are providing. You can even save, starting even from 50 shillings. There are certain products that the banks are providing that even from 50 shillings that you've deposited, you start earning some interest. Mm-hmm. So that money sitting in the bank is not sitting idle because they normally say that a penny saved is worthy two. And of course, after taxes, yeah? Yeah, so it's worthy, that money. And you save when you don't need it, mm-hmm. so that you can use it when you need it. Mm-hmm. So even if you're sitting at the bank, it's money that you put aside that when you need it, you will actually use it. Yeah.
Okay. You say that charity begins at home, yes. From saving. So just on a lighter note, if you want your child to become successful in terms of wealth, mm-hmm. then you should start by even the piggy banks. I see people with piggy banks. You teach your child, I give you this, put this coin aside, put this 10 bob in here for later, right?
Yes.
And there's an account, just because you brought it on the table. Like in a cooperative bank, we have an account called a Jumbo Junior account. It's for anyone below 18 years. And they're given those piggy banks. So since you've said we are starting from home, you always tell this child that when they're going to buy their sweets and everything, if it's 2 shillings, put a shilling inside here. So that child will grow knowing I put a shilling there. And you open an account, which is free to open that account. And when you're going to empty the piggy bank, ensure you go with that child. So that child will grow not scared of going to the bank because they've been going to the bank. So after 18, when they're getting to go to the universities or colleges, they graduate into an account called IR account. So you see, because we started from the Jumbo Junior account, now we're graduating them to the IR account that they'll run up to about 35 years. So even when they're in campus, they remember they have an account. And maybe what I would say to the parents here, don't put that money in an account once they go to the university. And you have an agreement of how much is your expenditure for a month. So put all the money inside that account. Why? That child will know I can only go to the bank, and if I go to the ATM, there are charges. So they also get to plan themselves. In the work of planning themselves, they also learn how to start saving, because that account always must have some money. So by the time they are leaving college to start opening the other accounts, the business accounts, they've already known how to manage accounts, which most of us at an older age are still getting scared of going to the bank or even owning an account. So that is very critical for us.
You had touched on money market funds, and I feel like you just touched on it very kidogo. If we can just get a bit into it, and what it entails, and the issue of compound interest, that is.
Okay, money markets, I can maybe refer to maybe CIC, I think called Mucha, also doing it. As you said, you start with any amount of money. So whatever amount of money is in your account, that is what earns you interest. And the best thing about this is that maybe if you go to CIC, when you're in a need, you can write to them and get your money. You get your money because you are not stuck there. So if you have a need, maybe you can just talk to them, they release some of the funds to you. But you see, it's better that money being in the money market than being in your house, where you'll always pick it up in case of anything. So by the time you start doing an email and all that, you may think, let me get some money from elsewhere other than waiting for the 2 days. So it will also institute the culture of savings, and of course, you'll earn the interest out of it. So the interest is calculated on the monies that they're in the account. Yeah, and maybe not just people hearing about money market, they would want to develop some cold feet. We also have good savings accounts in the banks, like a cooperative bank. We have an Ekima account where you withdraw money on a quarterly basis. So that one really disciplines you, and it can come in through the short-term goals, because you can only withdraw after 3 months. But that does not make you get stranded when you need your money. You can still walk into a branch and explain yourself that you need some funds, and the funds will be released to you.
For this campaign, Mr. Joe, what is the end goal of the campaign?
So the end goal is, of course, after the campaign, there will be a research that will be done to see has that trend changed. Like we say, that trend is worrying. So it's a continuous campaign that is going on to ensure that the saving culture is there. There will be other topics that will be coming up on the financial literacy. Savings is just one of them. So the end goal is to ensure that the public is able to save more. The public can be able to put more money on the different options that are available there for savings.
How does one go about putting together a financial plan, a proper and working financial plan?
I believe if you want to do a proper financial plan, one, you must develop a very good budget on what you want to do so that you have a very good plan. And then You also have to monitor your spending. When you monitor your spending, then you know what is supposed to be done when and how is it supposed to be done. You have to also live within your means. Because if you do not live within your means, then you'll never do a financial planning. Because you'll see somebody has bought a car and you want to buy that car. You also must be wary of peer pressure. At any level of growing, there's peer pressure. So you'll always be deviating from the financial planning that you had set for yourself to do. Then it's also very important to know that every shilling counts, and you be intentional about saving for tomorrow. And as I said, you save a shilling for every 5 shillings earned. And then you have to be a very smart borrower so that you are debt-free. You only borrow when you really need to borrow. And if you're in debt, so that you can have a very good financial planning, then you must also learn how to negotiate about your debts. Maybe if your incomes are coming down, you can walk to the bank and maybe talk to them. I was paying 100,000. Can you allow me to start paying 50,000 shillings? So that way you have a very good financial plan, and it also just comes down to discipline of what you want to do. So that way you'll be knowing this is what I want to do, by when, and how do I want to do it. Yeah,
they normally say that everything is in excess, except money. Therefore, it should be well managed. So everything else in excess except money. And effective saving can definitely lead to successive wealth creation.
Yeah. Okay, if we can just get into building of assets very quickly, because I see we should be winding up. How does one build assets? Lillian, maybe.
Okay. How can you build an asset? How can I build an asset? One, we said we dream. We dream to the moon, we land to the stars. So what is this that you want to do? And what kind of an asset is this that you are looking out to getting? A car is an asset. A house is an asset. So what does it entail in terms of finances? And how long do you want to give yourself? And again, what are your financial muscles? What are you earning? It's good to really dream, but again, with some dreams can bring you down. So let the dreams also not be very far-fetched. So you can decide in the next 5 years, I want to own a car. In the next 10 years, I want to own a house. If you're employed, then it depends with your salary income. If you're in business, then it depends with how much savings that you can start doing. And again, it's all about planning. So you've said in 10 years. So what are you going to do in these 10 years? I want to go to the bank and I want to do a borrowing. Then you start early and go to the bank. Tell them I'll be needing 10 million. Then the bank will tell you we need 20% of your total contribution. Then you start saving on the 20%. So that when you walk in the bank, you already have your 20%. And of course, the other things that will be needed. So and then you plan yourself in the next 10 years, this is the kind of loan I'll be paying, and I'll have owned a house in those years because I'll have finished and paying my mortgage, and the house now will be mine. If it's a car, maybe in 2 years I would want to own a car. The bank needs 5%. Then you start saving the 5%, of course, taking everything else in consideration. If you want to do it on your own, which is also okay, then what kind of a car can you afford? Is it 800? Is it 1.2? Is it 7 million? Then now you can start saving that. And maybe you can also start some diversification on the business that you are doing. Maybe if one does not support fully in attaining my goal, then I have a fallback on the other one that I'll be doing. So it's about setting your goals, knowing where you are and where you want to get and by when.
There's another money saying that says that money is attracted and it is not pursued. How do we attract this money?
All right. It's a very interesting proverb, yeah? But there's also another proverb in the Holy Book which says that the wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools, gulp theirs down. So if you're a fool, you'll go for that money and you'll not save it. So it attracts you and you just use it. They normally say, like, when you have money in your wallet, in a choma, you want to spend it. You want to spend it.
That's so true.
Whenever you get money, you feel like it's telling you, use this money. Yeah. So that's what I'm talking. That particular proverb, 21 verse 20. The fools will gulp theirs down. So you need to be wise to be able to store yours for future use. So yes, it will attract you, but you have to develop that discipline. That discipline is important when it comes to saving culture. If you don't have that within yourself, if you are an impulse buyer, for example, it's very difficult for you to save. So you need to change that trend over time. Then you'll start saving small. Now, like we said, you start with small steps. We don't expect to save the 20% right now if you don't save anything, but start with small step. 1%, you go to 2%, eventually you'll find yourself there. If you begin early, the better, because when you begin early, you are able to have that discipline much more early, even when you're older. When your demands now start increasing, you already have that culture and you know how to plan your money.
It's a muscle, you train it.
You train it,
All right, so my last question, can one be financially secure even when they don't really make much?
Yes, you can. And how it will happen is when you are living within your means. This is what I'm earning. I earn 10,000. I have kids going to school. They have to feed. I have rent to pay. I have my tithe. I have all those things. And that's why I would want to encourage us to always do a budget. Don't wait for the money to do the budget. Do the budget before the money comes. Then you can even have your book and tick, I've paid fees, I've done A, B, C, D, and you're fine. But if you are earning 10,000 and you go borrowing 100,000 against the 10,000 and there's no any other income, really, Vivian, will you be happy? You'd want to die the next day. Kids want bread, kids want milk, and you are there, the house is being locked, you can't pay your rent. So it is very important, always have a budget for your money. Of course, again, start with the priorities. And of course, what are the priorities. Anything else that you want to touch is there. But again, even in that 10,000, please save that 1 shilling for tomorrow, because we do not know how tomorrow will be. And again, why we get financially stressed or depressed, because we cannot meet the needs. Don't even talk about the wants. You can't meet the needs, and it can be very frustrating. You cannot even feed yourself. So the story becomes very different. So if you live within your means and you do the right budgeting, prioritize your things, and every month just tick what you're supposed to do, then you'll be fine. Of course, there's peer pressure, but you can just decide, you see what you want to see, you hear what you want to hear, and you move on with your life. There'll come a rainy day when dividends are paid if you had saved, and you'll go and have fun.
Sure. Any last words, maybe, Mr. Joe, that maybe you wanted to put across that I didn't prompt the question?
Yeah, probably I'll just wrap it up by saying, don't save what is left after spending. But spend what is left after saving. You need to invest that. Because I think most people, they save after you spend everything, that's when you come to saving. But if you put saving as a priority, then it's within your budget, then you'll find that you are spending after you've saved. If you invest that particular principle, then you'll be able to save.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Last words, parting shots?
Let's save. You'll always be happy when you save and you look behind. It's never easy. It's a sacrifice, but a sacrifice with a reward. Start small and grow big.
Okay.
Walk into banks and ask for this financial advice. It is free of charge. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for coming through and for engaging us in this conversation. Now, the main thing that has come out of this conversation is that you are supposed to be an intentional saver. Save your money. And the other thing, tuache kuogopa kuingia banks. Ingia kwa bank, uliza advice on whatever it is that you want. Right now, we're going to